I can do it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Gabby. I can help you with that as well. I believe we have someone new here on the chat, on the meeting today. Martinez, right? Let me know if you are not new. Like Rodrigo could tell, I sometimes make mistakes. So would you like to introduce yourself, Martinez?
Yeah, Martinez, that's my name. So yeah, I work as a systems engineer at Aragon. So generally I'm doing like very sort of way back-end stuff like servers and monitoring and automation. So it's not very client-focused stuff, but I thought it was a good idea to show some automation stuff for today. So here I am.
Great. Welcome to the meeting. It's always great to see new faces here. So we have one discussion today and 4 demos. So I believe the discussion was submitted by Brett about the Aragon OS version 5 upgrade.
Yeah, this is kind of a quick update and just thoughts around where we're taking Aragon OS right now. So we've had inquiries before and probably will continue to have inquiries about when Aragon OS will support Solidity version 0.5 to 0.6. At this moment, we've kind of pulled back the dates for those and just kind of deprioritize that effort because we're not seeing it as so important that people are using like the latest versions. 0.4 still works. It's a little bit crappier of a development environment, but it works. We might ship interfaces that are compatible in 0.5 to 0.6, but that's kind of an open question, and we'll see how many people want that. But in general, so previously, I think we've tried to communicate that Aragon OS 5 was going to be the next release with on-chain upgrades and supporting the new versions of Solidity. But now with this, we're just hoping to make Aragon OS 5 more of a maintenance release. And the reason why it will be a major release is because we're going to pull back some of the exposed contracts and just general interfaces from that package. And this is not really related to most of the contracts. Generally, we're just thinking about a cleanup here in terms of the NPM package, where we won't be exposing the scripts, the truffle config, the deployment scripts, Aragon PM in general, and just really focusing that to be like the core set of contracts that are powering these organizations on chain. This is mostly, again, just a maintenance release so that it's much easier for people to install. It doesn't take 1.5 gigabytes of hard drive space and 10 minutes on NPM trying to download this thing. And that's pretty much it. So sorry to everyone who was waiting for the 0.5 release or the version that would be compatible with Solidity 0.5 to 0.6. This next version is not it. And the contracts you'll use are going to be the same, but hopefully this will just make your development life much easier, and it will make it much easier for us to get our build times lower.
Great, thanks for the update, Brett. Is there any target date for the release of version 5?
It's a good question. I can't promise anything, but hopefully this is something we get sooner than later, and probably within the next few weeks, we'll likely make an announcement for this when it's getting ready.
Great, thanks. Is there any question about Aragon OS 5? All right, so we can move on to the demos. So the first demo for today is a demo for the conversion app for the Aragon Court by Enrique. Would you like to go ahead, Enrique?
Sure, let's go. Share my screen, and let's get started with the demo. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Okay, so past week we were building this site, which is a converter for ANT to ANJ and back. And it's one of the fastest products we've shipped to date. And it basically acts as a different interface to the ANJ.Aragon.org site that uses Uniswap for its backend conversion system. Meanwhile, this one is actually interacting with the bonding curve directly, which means it's interacting with the fundraising contracts necessary to do the conversion. This may give you a better rate, especially on high slippage trades. So it may be a better option than using the ANJ.Aragon.org site if you want to trade high amounts of ANT or ANJ. So let's spin it up and I'll connect my account. And now we're connected and we can see our balance. We can also like flip. We have this nice animation and we also get the balance you have for ANT. And then of course, we can say, hey, I want to convert 5 ANT. Now you need to accept your legal terms, create your transaction, and then you need to start signing. We've got this new stepper that we are working on, but it works very well. And so it gives you the visual state of the transactions. You can also click it here. This is happening on mainnet. So this, of course, will take some seconds to mine, but you can see like it says the amount of ANT you are converting to ANJ. It says when the transaction has been approved, and oh, that failed. That's fine. Whatever. We can repeat. You can see that actually. You can see that you can abandon the process and then repeat the transaction. I will actually abandon and then convert another amount of ANT. That's fine. I'll have to accept the legal terms again and restart the process. So we can see that then we need to keep trying to, create the buy order and then claim the order, which is actually a very unique step for using the bonding curve UI, because the contracts make you want to, okay, that's interesting. But the contracts need you to create the buy order, wait for it to get mined, and then claim the buy order in another transaction. So it takes more transactions than converting with Uniswap, but you may get better prices. Let's try it with one, just to see. But yeah, you can also do the backwards flow. The backwards flow from ANJ to ANT will take 2 transactions instead of 1, because we're using 3, because we need to approve, create the buy order, and claim order for ANT to ANJ. But if you're doing ANJ to ANT, you will only need 2, create the buy order and claim the order itself. So we need for this to mine. And after that, we should be able to claim the order and get our ANJ. Meanwhile, what this mines, guys, how was your weekend? Yeah.
Everyone is isolated, so not much.
Yeah, true. Yes. We also have some few information steps here, because we need to tell the user this process may take a few minutes. So we are saying that here. And it's very important that you do not close the window until the process is finished. Because if not, you may lose your buy order and you will need to get your block number from when it was mined. And then ideally you will go for us in Discord to help you get that. So now we can claim the order because that transaction was mined, and we will get our ANJ successfully. Of course, we need to wait for this to mine as well. Of course, if we click the transaction link, we can actually see the confirmation on how much ANT, and there we go. The transactions were mined, and you successfully converted 1 ANT to 95 ANJ. So we can start new conversion. We get the nice animation as well. We can then flip it. Say then I want to convert 50 ANJ. Click convert, and it's the same process but backwards. Oh, interesting. Right. Let's repeat the transaction then. So we get the transaction hash. By the way, these issues might be happening because this is stepper. We wanted to show it off, but it's actually a work in progress. The site is actually in production right now, and there we go. The site's in production with at convert.aragon.org, which is here. And it will have another stepper, but we're working on this one to make it even better. So don't worry, you can convert your ANT to ANJ normally, and it actually works flawlessly. Great. So yeah, this one is a work in progress, but we just need to wait for it to mine. Yep, there we go. So yeah, we did the flow forwards and backwards, and that's it. We also have a few links for documentation, the court itself, and the about of all of this. Links to the ANJ site, which we already have, which you can see the stats and more information about the court. And yeah, that was it.
This is very, very cool. Thank you, Enrique. I especially love the UI. It's very nice. So basically, it takes 2 transactions, but you get better rates than on Uniswap.
Exactly, that's correct.
Very
especially
nice.
Yeah, especially in high slippage rates. In fact, for example, you want to convert 5,000 ANT to ANJ, you might get a big slippage rate on Uniswap, but on this one, you will get better rates.
Cool, thanks a lot. Anyone has any questions about this demo?
So you said the tab has to be open while this is happening. What happens if you close it?
If you close it, what happens is that the transactions probably you won't be able to sign all the transactions that are needed. So in that case, we are working on actually having the feature to recover the last state and actually sending you like the transaction, the block number, so you can come to us on Discord and help you actually get your buy order or sell order. But right now, what happens is you don't get to sign all the transactions. And so you may lose the ANT or AJ that was sent in the buy or sell the order. So that's why we need you to not close the tab right now.
Yeah, on this, it's not necessarily that you lose it, but it just kind of stays in limbo, waiting for you to withdraw it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, we can definitely add some information across sessions to help track this, but we haven't done that so far.
All right. So up next is a demo by Pierre on Use Wallet.
Yes, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, it's not really a demo, but yeah. So the website that Enrique was showing is built on Next.js, which is a solution to build web apps using React, and it has the peculiarity to run to pre-compile the React apps server side, so that it can basically it brings a lot of advantages, but one of them is that it makes the loading time much faster, the time that you need to wait before you start to see the UI. And a problem we had with that is that we have some libraries like Use Wallet that were only using ES modules to export themselves. And ES modules is like the new standard to export JavaScript modules. It's clearly the future, but Node.js is becoming compatible with them, but it's not quite the case yet. So yeah, Node.js is still using CommonJS, another format to do that. So what we did is that we made Use Wallet and Use Viewport for now compatible with CommonJS again. So now they export both ES modules. If you have a modern bundler, you will use ES modules, or if you want to even import them directly in a modern browser, you can just use ES modules. And otherwise, you can also now use them in Node.js or like in a server-side rendering tool like Next.js directly, and it will work. Of course, like use viewport gives you the dimensions of the window. So on the server side, you will have width of 0 by a height of 0, and same for use wallet. It's supposed to connect to an injected or remote provider, so it won't do anything if you try to use it. But you can pre-compile your web page with it. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Pierre, and congratulations for your new release of Use Wallet. Any questions about this release? So we can move to our third demo by Gabby on Bidler, on the Aragon Bidler plugin.
Okay. Let me know if you see my screen.
Right now, I can't see it.
Can't see it.
Strange.
Yeah, you might need to rejoin, Gabby.
Wait, I'll try that. Okay. How about now?
Unfortunately, I still don't see anything.
Can you try just a single window?
I'll try with other browser otherwise.
In the meantime, Martinez, would you like to go ahead with your demo? Yeah. While Gabby is fixing his computer?
Yeah,
Thanks.
sure. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so so this is going to be about some sort of supporting work for the core backend. So core backend is the supporting server for that. Well, it has to run on the servers for example, email subscriptions and some other supporting services. So we have to actually think about the servers. This is not on the blockchain. So the way that this is set up, it's set up to use Docker containers and run on the Google Kubernetes engine. But while thinking about Kubernetes is quite complicated, so for the developers, what I did is I just simplified this to Docker Compose. So you can basically have your whole stack of your core backend and monitoring and logging just running on localhost. So if you go to this repo, there is this Docker Compose file here. And this Docker Compose file basically defines everything that's needed to basically run all the backend services and all the supporting services basically as a single command. So here we have the Postgres database, we have several instances of the service, and also basically the alerting infrastructure as well. So for this, we're using Prometheus for the metrics, Loki for gathering logs, and then Grafana for the dashboards. So once you have this file defined, it's just a matter of running. Well, you need to install this logging plugin, and once you have that, it's just Docker Compose up, and that's it. Basically, you have your app available at localhost, and Grafana dashboards as well. So I just open this. That's it. It's running. Just as simple as that. Well, there are no HTTP requests, so we can simulate some fake data to make it look nice. Here we go. So we have our HTTP requests, we have our logs. So everything is available just like that. And then, of course, you can expand the dashboards. But this is only for the development. So, okay, it's nice, but then how do you push it into the server itself? So for this, we're using this. We're using GitHub Actions. So basically, GitHub Actions is just defined in this .github workflows file. So it's just very nice. You basically specify a list of commands for building your server, for compiling, for deploying, basically all these boring manual tasks that you don't want to do yourself. And it's just going to execute, for example, on every tag or on every branch or on every commit, or when specific path is edited, for example. So in this case, we're building a container, then we're deploying the container to our Google Kubernetes engine. And well, this just requires some secret access variables in your GitHub repo. But of course, all this Kubernetes stuff is completely abstracted from the developers, so they don't have to think about it. So basically, if you want to do a release, you do a git push, you tag it, and then you see your progress of the deployment in this actions tab on GitHub. So for example, this is our server deployment. So we see our build step, our deploy step, all the logs, what was happening. Of course, it's gonna show you as well when it fails. Well, all our deployments are amazing, it seems, and they never fail. So at least for now. So yeah, so there are some failed deployments 7 days ago. So again, it shows nicely what was wrong. All the logs are available here. So yeah, it's quite nicely automated. So you don't have to do this boring stuff manually. And yeah, that's it.
Very cool automation. Thanks a lot. Are there any questions about this demo? All right. So would you like to try it again, Gabi?
Yeah. I moved to Firefox. I will try it now. Let me know if you see it now.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Nice. Okay, I have it already set up. So what I would like to show is 2 new features that me and Lion, we were working. Lion is a contributor in the Aragon SDK, and he's doing an amazing job with these new features. And we've been working on include this for a soon to release version 0.2.0. And the first feature that I would like to show you is an experimental installer of apps in the hooks of a Builder app. If you don't remember, Builder what allow you to is the new way that we are going to that we are trying to developers to start using for develop their apps. And one of the main features that this new way of working have is these scripts that allow you to set up your environment before testing. And with this new experimental app installer, we are even closer to replace the templates and use this way of doing it. So let's go ahead. And what I'm doing here first is we have these function hooks that allow you to do these different things in the process of deploying the organization and installing the apps. And for example, here we can do things before the DAO is deployed. Here we can do things after we have the DAO. And here we can do things before we initialize the parameters of the application that we are developing, and so on. Okay, so let me see one thing. It was strange. Okay, yeah. So I'm not sure why the file changed, but here what I have is in the pre-init hook, I'm installing an application using the experimental app installer. This is a new functionality that we can get from the pre-init and from the post-DAO and the post-init hooks and use it. What allows us is to install applications using the name and the network that we want the applications to be fetched. So for example, here we are installing an app, a Bolt app, and we just gonna say Bolt, and this will fetch the information of the Bolt from mainnet as default. If we would like to do other network, we can select the network and choose Rinkery or the supported networks. Once we do this install, what it will do is install the application and configure it if we provide the initial age parameters, like in the second example. Here we have a finance app, and we are also telling that we want to initialize the arguments using our previous Bolt application and some parameters for the period of the finance. Once we have these objects, we also have access to a create permission function that allow us to configure permissions for that application. So for example, here we are using the function to put the transfer role for the finance application. So then we do other actions that are not relevant for this example. And what I would like to do then is in the post-init, once I have the proxy address of the application that I'm developing, that in this case is the token wrapper, I want to do some things with the proxy address of the token wrapper. So for example, I'm going to create payments, assign the create payment role to the finance using the proxy of the token wrapper. And then I'm gonna, for testing this, I use two other apps, like a second Bolt, that in this case, I use the transfer role, create the permission of the second Bolt, and assign it to the proxy address of the token wrapper. And finally, I install an address book where I also assign permissions to the proxy address of the token wrapper. Then I only do npm start, and the whole process is done. And as we can see here, there are some logs that I put, but I already ran it, so we can go ahead and see it in work. We have here the token wrapper app, and as we can see, we have also the finance app, and we also have the address book already with all the information fetched from mainnet. And as we can see here in the permissions, we have all the permissions that we assign. We have the create payment assigned to the token wrapper in the finance app. We have the two bolts that we install, one with the finance app with the assigned the transfer role, and the second one with the token wrapper. And we can do a quick example, wrapping a token and then trying to we need two transactions, as one for improvement and the second one. And to test that this is working, we can, for example, add a new entity using the, and as we'll have the permission assigned to the token. Let's put it Gary here, assign as an individual. And now the transaction passed, we'll see that as we have a token that we just grab, it will allow us to do the action, and we will create the action. And that's it. This was the first that I wanted to show. I think this way of doing things is going to be much more interesting to try the existing building blocks that we have. in a more elegant way, and more simple way with a script in JavaScript. And yeah, now for the second part, what I want to do is show you the second feature that we are going to add, that is a publish using the builder plugin. I'm going to do in local because we are working still in the network compatibility. So I start a dev chain using the old method just to test this. And I'm going to do builder publish measure. And as a first start, we are do a dry run because we want to try that everything is working as expected. This might take a minute or so to build the actual app. So what the dry run allow us is to do all the things that a publish will do, and will show us all the transaction data that we need to, for example, sign offline or use it for assigning later on. But what we will assure that the IPFS content was already propagated in the Aragon node as default. But as always, you have to make sure that the content is pinned, because that's something that we don't do yet in the plugin. And if you have some questions so far, while we wait, should. Okay, here we have the dry run. We will have some information about the published version that we do, which contract address was deployed, what's the content URI that we are publishing in this case to the IPFS node of Aragon. And here we have the information about the transaction. With this information, we can go ahead and sign it offline, for example. And in the second case, we can do I can even not do it now, but I have it up here before. So you can see here how it looks in the case of the actual publishing. We can see the version, all the information, and the transaction hash that was sent, and the transaction that was the information about the mainnet transaction. And yeah, that was it. Hope you like it. And that's yeah.
Thank you, Gabi, for this very insightful demo. That was very nice to see. Anybody has any questions about this demo? So I believe you are on track to publish a release of this Aragon Builder 0.2 in the coming weeks, right?
Yeah, the idea is trying to push to this Wednesday. Let's see how we can. But yeah, we are doing great progress with Lion, and hope we can make it available for the developers.
Very, very great work. So if anybody hasn't anything else to add, I believe we can close this this call. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in for this Aragon Dev Call 45, and thank you very much also for these great demos. It's always very interesting to see the progress on the different projects. And talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.